self, and how we can, bring in that revolution and re-engineer education that you're going to talk about today. We'll see how we will bring in that lateral thinking as an attitude in ourselves and in our children. So friends, let me first formally introduce our revered speaker to all of you, Ms. Priyanka Chatterjee, an international story consultant, design thinker, artistic director of Arts for Change International. Ma'am is an award-winning storyteller, a process drama coach. She's an MBA gold medalist. Ma'am is an alumnus of International Institute of Storytelling, Emerson College, UK. She currently leads Arts for Change International as the artistic director and is the founder director of Wild Strawberry. I love this name, by the way. She's also the director at the Storytelling Education and Arts India Council, that is SEAIC. A significant achiever in her life story, Ms. Priyanka has touched lives of 3 lakh children and 50,000 adults through her storytelling and various other engaging sessions. She believes that the power to change your life lies in changing your story. That's a very powerful thought, I must say. I also see a very strong connect in the way NEP envisions India's education landscape in the coming time and the current work that ma'am does, whether it is about storytelling, it is about lateral thinking, it's about re-engineering and revolutionizing teaching, learning that is happening in our schools and classrooms. So friends, today we will be learning about how to treat lateral thinking as a learnable skill instead of perceiving it as a magic gift for a few gifted ones. And we'll also see how we can develop this attitude and be creative. And if really we can bring that paradigm shift from vertical thinking to lateral thinking, a journey of understanding the patterns to breaking out of established patterns. And teachers, the right teacher, the guru, is the one who constantly keeps learning, and that means breaking out the established patterns, moving with time, making changes as and when they are needed. So without taking any further time, I would request our guest speaker, the Aadharshila, Ms. Priyanka Chatterjee, Golpo Didi, to take over from here on. Thanks to all the viewers once again.
Thank you so much, Jaya ma'am, and everybody, all the colleagues, all the viewers today of Aadharshila Talk, and beautiful educators from RRIS. I'm so glad to be at the 61st talk, and it's very special because it looks like you are doing for quite a long time. A lot of things have been covered. So I'm really inquisitive while I was speaking to Jaya ma'am, what new I can bring to the bouquet that has already been offered to the educators. And let's see, I had to laterally think about what I can offer. So let's talk about lateral thinking today. So dear educators, while we speak about lateral thinking, this will not be exactly one-sided process. That's not learning happens. It will be more two-sided, so interaction will always be preferred. And for the first exercise that I am going to do with you all, I would request you to have a little piece of pen and paper. If you have it ready, it will be great, because we are going to talk about re-engineering education and how we can reinvent lateral thinking. Ma'am already spoke about vertical thinking. I'll be coming a little later to that, because any session, when we open it through story, we open it through game, we open it by breaking the ice between me and you, then only our heart-to-heart connection gets established. So without any further ado, let's do that. Let's pick up our little piece of paper and pen. So the next slide, I'm not yet opening. The instruction will be, for each of the slide that I'm going to show you, you have to draw something within 10 to 15 seconds. Not more than that. I'm not also Picasso. I'm not also Michelangelo. So don't worry if the figures don't look that, attractive. And moreover, in virtual sessions, nobody is going to peep into your paper and see, want to check how beautifully it went. So just give it a go. So everybody ready? If you can give me a thumbs up. Yes. So let's go. The first one, remember 10 to 15 seconds for each of the figurine that will be mentioned on the slide. The first one, a mountain. What do you mean by a mountain? Can you visually depict that? What we mean by a mountain? Okay, looks like it's time for the next one. Let's see what is there in store for us. Birds. How do you draw a bird? How do you visually depict a bird? And moreover, in the scenario, the mountain is there as well as the bird is there. So how are we going to draw the scenario? Okay, time's up. Moving on to the next one. A house. Great going. Let's keep going for another 5 seconds. Okay, next figurine. Face of a baby. Face of a baby. Yes. Take another 5 seconds maybe. Okay, next one. And the last one. Creativity or innovation. How would you draw creativity and innovation? Let's see, because still now whatever I was asking, those were more of concrete type, no? But this one is abstract. Let's see, how do you perceive creativity or innovation? Okay, another 5 seconds. And time's up. So let me know, how did it go for all of you? What did you get? Okay, I can see Jaya ma'am is already done. Rajulashmi ma'am is already done. Lovely. So I'm not asking for individual revelation, because let's see how many of you have got something like this. Anybody would like to share? Did it go something like this?
The bulb is exactly the same.
Okay.
The rest of the things are a little different.
I thought of mountains.
Mountains, yes, Mala ma'am, yes. And what about the rest? Okay, somebody said mine except bulb, nearly. House, mountain, bird, exactly the same, Nisha ma'am said. Close enough, Chela ma'am said. Wow. So why exactly this is happening? Why? Because since our childhood, this used to be my favorite scenario, right? One house, one tree. I was drawn to draw, taught to draw three types of trees. The first one used to be the banyan trees, like with huge branches and with the leaves like this. And then the second type will be the nariyal ka peड़, where there is this simple trunk and then one X cross. And the third one was the kela tree, the banana tree. So it will go like this, and that's all. So whenever I think of a tree, I go in that box and I start drawing inspiration from that. And that's why, see, there are 77 people right now in this room. But I'm checking the chat box. Most of you, I won't say all of you, but most of you, it's the similar thing. And as Usha Pujari ma'am has said, our brains are conditioned. We keep on talking about being in the box. And what about the box? Just look at our lives. Right now, our lives are...
May I share something?
Yes,
Based on this exercise. So one is that, like it's said by Usha ma'am, and you confirmed that our mind is conditioned, and right from the childhood we have done this typical kind of drawings. You didn't ask for the river, otherwise we would have drawn it from, between the mountains and the sun rising also. What I see recently, I have spent some time with my niece, who's quite little, and have been working on arts with her. She makes me draw something, and then I refer to certain pictures. And that is why today I was able to draw a different drawing. But if you had asked me probably a few days back, I would have drawn something exactly similar. So the conditioning can be broken. This is what I have personally experienced. When you start exploring that field and try new things, move out of that mold. Just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jaya ma'am. And that is the essence of the work that I am doing. Because you said Wild Strawberry name sounds very interesting. So a little 2-minute story about Wild Strawberry. Why Wild Strawberry? I was living in the West then, not in India. And over there in the ground floor, there used to be a wild strawberry bush, which I didn't ever know. But strawberry happens to be my favorite fruit. And there comes my friend and says, Pri, under your house, there is this wild strawberry bush. Have you checked it out? And I'm like, huh? Under my house itself, somebody else comes from outside and informs me about something that I really like. And then I remembered this little folktale from India, which talks about this mask deer. The mask, the fragrance is there right near the navel of this mask deer. And mask deer loves the smell. Mask deer searches for the smell here, there, everywhere, but doesn't find it. And then one day, like that, the mask deer tips off from the cliff or maybe gets poached by the hunter. Same is with all of us. We keep searching for that mask, the fragrance, keep searching for that wild strawberry, keep searching for this happiness, the purpose, keep searching for the meaning of our lives. And then one day we go. And like Jam said, that's why the reason for Wild Strawberry is exploration through storytelling, through process drama, through arts, because very rightly pointed out, Jaya ma'am, that arts can be instrumental to break these patterns. It helps us in inner journey, inner exploration, and it doesn't depend on how old are we. I also started very, very late. I used to work for corporate company, like Fortune 500 companies and media houses. And from there, arts have helped me to think laterally and have a big idea, big for me at least. So let's see. I am getting a lot of responses in the chat box, and somebody is saying, A for apple, why not something else? Yes, ma'am. I just remembered in a classroom, there was this little girl, and it was asked, like we asked, what color is the sky? Blue. What color is the leaf of a tree? And the girl answered red and purple. And you must have heard different versions of these stories, but this is an actual experience, because this happened. I also used to live in the US, and I experienced fall over there like extensively. I loved fall, the autumn colors, like red and purple and yellow and orange. You don't even ask me. So this little girl said purple, and there was this cross. And then it happens to be they have just relocated from US, and we don't get to see fall colors over here that much. But over there, everybody goes on a vacation during fall. So it's just about, breaking that pattern, like Jaya ma'am was saying. How can we go beyond this condition? So we will be looking into that, and we will also be talking about a little bit of tools while exploring creativity, because Jaya ma'am started about creativity, telling, is creativity a magic gift? That's what Edward de Bono mentioned about, that we all think, okay, she is very, very creative. I am not. I can't really do this. I can't even draw stick figures. How can I do that? But we are going to talk about how we can actively practice creativity. So let's continue. So this story, because I am a storyteller, of course, I will tell you stories during this process. So this story is one of my favorite. And this is about a merchant who had a beautiful girl. And the girl was just turning, getting prospective suitors from all around the town. But the merchant was not able to get her married because merchant was submerged in debt. Why? Because he used to be a lot, like totally rich, but there were 3 consecutive shipwrecks. And because of these shipwrecks, to survive, he had to take loan from a money lender in the same town. And the money lender just lended the money without asking any question, just by signing papers, which was kind of fishy, but he didn't think about it. He didn't have a choice. And when these suitors were coming to ask for the hand of this beautiful lady, the money lender came and said, I can waive off your debt, but there is a little catch. Catch? What catch? You have to get your daughter married to me. My daughter is so beautiful. She's so young. She's just 19 years old. And you are 40, dear sir. I can't do that. Please give me another 2 years of time. I can't do that. Then I have to put you in prison. The entire conversation was heard by the merchant's daughter. And the merchant's daughter said, let's see. Tomorrow you are going to go to the moneylender and going to tell him that when he started his business, you were the one who lended him the capital, starting capital. So maybe he takes a little pity. Next day, merchant goes to the moneylender, reminds him of that little favor that he had done earlier, because of which the moneylender is where he is today. The moneylender kind of doesn't want to do it, but he has no choice. So he says, okay, let's do one thing. I give you another chance, okay? So tomorrow I'll come. Just beside your house, there is this beautiful river that's flowing and there are a lot of pebbles over there. I'll come and take a little bag, and inside that bag, I will put 2 pebbles, one white, one black, that I'll be picking up from the river bank itself. And then your daughter will have a choice. If she puts her hand in, she reaches out to the bottom and then she picks up the white one. Your debt will be waived off. Along with that, your daughter doesn't have to marry me. But in case she reaches out to the bottom and picks up the black one, then your debt will be waived off, but your daughter has to marry me. Quite a thing. Have to take a chance. Next day, the moneylender comes and the daughter was observing everything that the moneylender didn't know. I know many of you are smart over here. You must have guessed what happened next, but still, for the ones who doesn't know. The moneylender went to the riverbank, picked up 2 black pebbles. The girl watching over there, the girl comes now talking about vertical thinking. Maybe one choice, maybe refuse. No, I don't want to do this. This is dirty game. What happens after that? The girl's father actually would be put into the prison because they cannot pay off the debt. Maybe another choice, another vertical thinking process. Maybe why not expose the money lender in front of everybody, telling he was trying to cheat? It's okay. It's not written anywhere, so he is not going to be sued for this. But once again, the girl's father is going to be put behind the bars. Lateral thinking. What happens? This girl comes and accidentally tumbles in front of this man while picking up this little pebble. And the pebble falls in lot of pebbles that were lying around the ground, lying on the ground. And it got mixed. And the girl said, dear sire, I'm so sorry for what I have done, but no worries, we can still make up for it. Because we know inside the bag, there is still the pebble that I haven't picked. And if the color is white, then you know I have picked up black. And if the color is black, you know I have picked up white. Which knew, by now you know, because black was there inside the bag, which means she has picked up the white one. And she never ever needed to marry the greedy moneylender. And why this was possible? Because of her lateral thinking. So now let's once again see, if I was doing this with children, I would have asked them certain questions after this. But now let's move ahead, because I'm sure many of you have seen this particular picture. Yeah? Do you recognize which movie is this?
Sholay, Sholay.
Yes, Mala ma'am. Absolutely right. Yes, Nisha ma'am. It's Sholay. And over there, what is different? Once again, it talks about two sides, right? Like the white and the black pebble, like the head and the tail. But what happened in this case? In this case, Viru and Jay, they were best of friends. And Viru never asked a question, right? And Jay always used to use his thinking skills to befool and manipulate Viru, right? So perhaps the situation would have been different if Viru would have applied lateral thinking skills. So now let's move ahead with what exactly is vertical thinking and what exactly is lateral thinking. So I'm sure all my educated friends over here, you have used and you have seen something like this, like the maze puzzle, right? There is A, and from A, we need to go to B. Now, you can see this, journey, which is very crooked, and through that, I used to enjoy this game a lot. So over here, we have been given a certain set of rules. So we cannot, in some games which are really difficult, we can't really touch the outer grid. If we touch the outer grid, points will be deducted or you will be disqualified. You have to start over. And there is only one way you can go, stuffs like that. So there are rules that are given that we have to abide by, which makes vertical thinking very much linear and sequential. But now let's look at another solution. Like the girl spoke about the color of the leaf. There can be many different colors, right? Have you ever thought about this? I haven't, very frankly. When I was a little child, I never thought about something like this. Can this really be done from outside, going from A to B? Which means basically we disregarded the rules that were given, that were defined by the society. And that is what is lateral thinking. Another game that you must have played in your childhood, I still love playing it. It's called tic-tac-toe, katakuti, as we call it in Bengali.
4 colors, 4 names of fruits. Then all these things were there.
Exactly, ma'am. Exactly. So these games were so lovely, but always, any of you have ever done this in this way? I always used to, like a zero, which
till is now, ma'am. Till now.
Yeah. But ma'am, if you see over here how the crossing have been done, it proves that the person who has picked up O or 0 is the winner over here, because he or she could draw a straight line with 3 zeros, if you can see. But the 0, the last 0, which made the winning possible, is outside this block, is not even given as a rule in the tic-tac-toe game, right? Which means we are not only getting bound by the rule that's been defined for us, because rules are good, rules is what defines us, rules is what binds the society, but rules also limits us. So how can we, without being antisocials, how can we make new meaning out of the rules that limit us, is what all lateral thinking is all about. So till now, is there a question or should I move forward?
I could see some participants raising their hands.
Sure, ma'am.
Ms. is there. And anyone who wants to ask some questions, please feel free. Miss Mala Roy has raised her hand.
Ma'am, I would like to say the maze that you showed us when we were young. So whenever there was a game like that, what we used to do, we used to go to the end. Okay, not stay the starting point. And from there we used to start and come backwards. And easily we used to win that. That was the strategy which we took generally.
Exactly,
ma'am. It was, yes, my son is telling you are a cheater. But actually, but really we did that sometimes.
Absolutely, Mala ma'am. And I also used to do that. And in a crux, you have spoken about what re-engineering is all about. Because engineering is the forward process and re-engineering is the backward process. So starting, instead of going from source to destination, we are going from destination to source, but not through one path, but through many. Not instead of one to one, we are discovering one to many in a backward journey. So Mala ma'am, thank you so much for that tip.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Welcome.
Okay, so moving forward, we are talking about vertical thinking versus lateral thinking. I'm sure if you look at the picture at the left, we are talking about flow chart. You remember, like start, end, if this happens, then that happens, the diamond, little diamond over there. But that is vertical thinking because it is flowing in a sequential way, in a known pattern. But if you look at the thread that went outside the paper, it looks like it created chaos. But actually, that's the flow of ideas, different ideas that can arise out of lateral thinking. So if you look at the picture at the right, vertical thinking is about having only one right answer, but lateral thinking is about many, many right answers. And you might be asking me, so ma'am, 2 plus 2 is equal to 4 only. 2 plus 2 cannot be 5, right? So are we going to encourage our children to, should we even, give full marks when somebody has written 2 plus 2, 5? That's a tricky question. But also sometimes, depending on the capacity that you can see in a child, because in 21st century skills, both critical thinking as well as creative thinking, both are the 21st century skills and both are important. And gradually from critical thinking, we are making a leap towards creative thinking, because if you see the leaders around the world, they are practicing creativity, not being given by the magic gift, but actively practicing creativity.
So Priyanka ji, I would like to ask here, when you gave an example of a child coming up with an answer like 2 plus 2 is equal to 5, I think teachers should take it as an opportunity for opening a dialogue with the child. We don't know what made the child come to 5. And it could have a story hidden within that. Or maybe the child lent 2 plus 2 certain things to somebody, but he got 5 in return. So that is what made him think that 2 plus 2 is not 4, but it is 5, because somebody gave him 5 in return of 4. I think these are opportunities. If we look at, there could be so many things coming out of that discussion.
Absolutely, ma'am.
Ma'am, I would like to add up to this that when we were young, there was a movie called Do or Do Panch. So we used to ask. I asked my mother once that why do or do paanch? It should be char. So she said that I don't know. I have not seen the movie. So let us see the movie and then I'll find out. So I have not seen the movie, but still it haunts me that why do or do paanch.
Yeah. Thank you, Mala ma'am, and thank you, Jaya ma'am. Absolutely, this is what I am going to talk about. I'm sure you have also heard about this joke. This is a quite well circulated joke that a child submits a blank paper to the teacher when there was a drawing competition, and the drawing was about a meadow and a scenery where there is a burn or there are some herbivorous animals, something like that. And there's this blank paper, and the teacher stares at the blank paper. What have you drawn? And the child starts explaining, as Jamam was saying, that this is just an opportunity because you never know what Pandora's box is going to open once you are engaging into that conversation. So the child explained, you see, here there is this lush green meadow and lots of grass. So all the sheep comes over there and they starts eating this lush green grass. And once they have just completed over this patch, they're about to move to the next. The hyena comes or the wolf comes, and they all hurry up and they all live and go to the next. Instead of going to the next patch, they live and reach the burn. So where is the wolf? Oh, the wolf couldn't eat anybody, so the wolf had to go to the next jungle to look, or next burn to look for the sheep. And where are the sheep? I told you the sheep, they have gone to the burn. And where is the grass? The sheep has eaten all the grass, Baba. I told you na. So this is a conversation perhaps that we never ever imagine, because we don't really tend to look inside what is going inside that factory that's inside our minds, right?
Namaste,
So
ma'am.
yes, sure.
May I share one experience?
Sure, Gregory, sir.
Just yesterday, I was talking to my son, who's 7.5 year old, and he had his cousins also at home. So we were just asking some tricky questions just to make them think and all. So I asked them one question. There are five ducks swimming in the pond. Okay, the first one says there are four behind me. The second one says there are three behind me, and so on. And the fifth one says that there are four behind me. So how is it possible? So they started giving some random answers here and there. So ultimately, finally, I had to give the answer. I said the fifth one was blind; she couldn't see.
Wow. Yes. And these riddles are such lovely thing, not only to tickle our creative brains or get our critical juices flow, but also it's a lovely bonding activity. And there's no harm in accepting. When I used to be a small kid, I was not very smart. People used to ask me riddles. They used to bully me because I couldn't answer. But see, things changed over time, so you can also do it. I think riddles and this discussions, as Jamam is saying, Gregory sir, you have given such a lovely example for not only our educators but also our parent community, that well, because we speak about, I face this question a lot from parents that ma'am, हमारा बच्चा पढ़ता नहीं, हम क्या करें? The first thing is we should practice something, and then only you remember that story by Mahatma Gandhi, right? This lady comes to Mahatma Gandhi and Mahatma ji, ये बहुत चीनी खाता है, बहुत ज्यादा चीनी खाता है, मोटा होते जा रहा है, क्या करूं महात्मा जी? अभी कुछ नहीं कर सकते बच्चा, आप 2 हफ्ते बाद आइए. 2 हफ्ते बाद, अच्छा ठीक है. 2 हफ्ते बाद आते हैं, and after 2 weeks when she comes, Mahatma ji says, call your child. And the child comes, why are you eating this much sugar, bacha? You shouldn't do that. That is going to harm your body. Please, please, please quit eating sugar. And the woman is like totally astonished. Ki kya ho raha hai? You could have said this thing like 2 weeks back. I journeyed for 5 hours. I have to go 5 hours back. And Mahatma ji says, I myself was eating sugar. How can I suggest this to the bacha? Because aponi achuri dharmo pore shikha. First you practice it and then only give the gyan to others. So Gregory sir, you are such a fine example of how we can inculcate lateral thinking in our children, because school, community, the education community works based on a triangle. If the student is over here, the teacher is here, and the parents are here, it should all work in unison. And thank you and kudos to you that you have said that example. And it's a practice. Lateral thinking cannot really be achieved in one day. Okay, aaj thoda kar liya, kahani khatam. We keep learning maths, we keep learning English. Like that, when we are talking about re-engineering education through reinventing lateral thinking, it needs to be a practice, not a one day, not a weekly class. Every day lateral thinking sessions, lateral thinking capsules should be ingrained into the child's routine. So let's move ahead. Consistency. Absolutely right, Smita Gandhi ma'am, sir. Ma'am, Smita Gandhi ma'am. Sorry for that. Okay, let's go ahead. Yes. So I was here. I was speaking about linear or vertical thinking, where things go, in a defined way, right? The path is given, the problem, there is one problem, one solution. But in lateral thinking, there are many paths, many solutions. Nothing is wrong in lateral thinking. And when I'm talking about vertical thinking, you are really, digging deep in one. But in lateral or horizontal thinking, you are picking up one idea from somewhere, and then you are actually expanding that. You are actually transporting that idea into another field where that idea is a new idea. And hence, that idea becomes a path-breaking idea. Let's give you an example, okay? Before that...
May I
yes.
interrupt?
Sure, sir.
The example that I gave, actually, I could have said that the fifth one was lying. All right, but I did not on purpose say it so that the children would think it, okay, lying is an okay thing, we can always lie just to give an answer. So I made it like, okay, the fifth one was blind. So as Nisha ma'am said that the third one was lying, I didn't want that value to go in the children. That's the reason I did not say that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir, for sharing that. Also, I won't like to, go, more in detail about whether lying is bad, whether we should include that in the story or not, because you will see there are a lot of fairy tales that are coming up in the society, telling that the Grimm brother fairy tales or our ancient tales, they were quite gruesome, very violent, lot of bloodshed, lot of bad values. But also, if we are not knowing the bad, we don't know really the good. So how exactly, suppose, because they will be finding lying around them, or maybe they themselves sometimes very subtly, they are not telling a lie, but they are telling a ardha satya, or not divulging the full truth. So what exactly is right, what exactly is wrong? Also, it's my personal perception is introducing children to that, and like Jaya ma'am said, open a discussion after introducing the concept, because that's what not only builds the bond, but that's what opens the door of the world to our children.
I would like to add something here, Priyanka ji.
Yes, sure.
I think we would never be able to insulate our children totally from how the world is, whether we like it or we don't like it. And it's better that the children are aware of all the vices that they are going to encounter in their lives, in their personal lives as well as with others. So I think I agree with what Nagma ma'am says, that we can emphasize it in covert ways, where you have to bring in in every story we bring some villains also, who lie, who cheat and all that. And then through the story, through discussions, we make the children understand whom they favor. Why do they favor the hero? Why do they favor the person who is following the path of truth and righteousness? So this is the other way where we cannot totally insulate them from the reality, but at the same time giving them the reasoning, judge correctly, take decisions which are right, which are based on the values.
Yes, I agree to that. And
there was there was an example. I mean, there is an episode which we have heard or read about Gandhiji, where he lied to a butcher where he saw a goat going there. So he stuck to the value over there. He did not lie. He wanted to do a greater favor to the goat, right, ma'am? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for different perspectives that has been put in the chat box as well as in the verbal discussion, and that is what exactly lateral thinking is all about also, because it talks about different perspective and not one perspective, not one right answer. So once again, coming back to lateral thinking, when there is a person, a legend rather, called Adam Smith. If you have heard about Adam Smith, he is the one who was responsible for division of labor and path-breaking concepts of economics. As you can see over here, there is, yes, you can see, right? Yes, okay. So the wealth of nations. So what he spoke about is this is the pin factory example, where all the different kind of labors are very, very specialized. So somebody, if we have got divisions, if we have got different departments, different specializations, then in fact, like say 4,800 pins can be produced in a single day, for example. Because the person who is continuously beating the iron will keep on beating the iron. The one who is responsible, in molding will keep on molding. So that is their specialization. And then there will be assembly line, which will put one things after the other in one sequence. And this is a path breaking concept which actually was utilized during early 1900, when Henry Ford and the assembly line, which was later followed by Albert Sloan and the decentralized management system. And all of that since 1820, I think it was followed quite up till 1900, mid 1900. But gradually things started changing. What happened? We are talking about 1993, when we were ready to almost bid adieu to Adam Smith. You remember 1992, globalization happened for India. 1991, 1992, we opened our doors to the world. And then at the same time, this particular book was written by Michael Hammer and James Champion, which spoke about re-engineering the corporation, not re-engineering the education, not re-engineering the schools, but re-engineering the corporations or the big companies. Now, let me read this out, because this is what the crux of today's discussion is. What changed from Adam Smith? Why we are bidding him adieu? In today's environment, nothing is constant. Nothing is constant, which is so true even in the 21st century, and perhaps is even truer. Nothing has even been truer since last 1.5 years, to be very particular. Nothing is predictable. Not market growth, customer demand, product life cycles, the rate of technological change, whether the children will be giving an exam virtually or physically, whether there will be an exam or not, whether there will be schools physically or not, or the nature of competition. Everything is volatile. Everything is temporary. We don't know what is going to happen in future. We don't know what jobs our children are going to opt for, because when I grew up, I heard about options like doctor, engineer, chartered accountant, lawyer, nothing beyond that. Being a bong, you have to be, in these professions, otherwise like naak kadwaoge kya, or teacher, of course. So now, if I look beyond, Mark Zuckerberg is much younger than me. People, the YouTubers, the bloggers, they are earning in millions and billions. Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, they're ruling the world. They are basically one company. And I don't really know, out of this 80 people present over here, if not a single person is using at least one of these three. But where were these? We are talking about where were these when we were growing up. Where were these in 2008? I was still using Orkut. Imagine the life has changed so much in last 10 years, 12 years. So our children, the generations that we are going to teach, the generations don't even know what problem they are going to solve. Hence, the problem is not known, solution is of course not known. Hence, our children should be ready to be future citizens so that they know many different ways to address a problem that they haven't yet faced. Adam Smith's world and its way of doing business are yesterday's paradigm. Hence, we are talking about specialists versus generalists, and how this has been so crucial in during especially Y2K and after the influx that has happened in last 20-30 years after globalization, modernization, in introduction of technology. Previously, we used to talk about only specialists, somebody who is knowing it all about one particular subject. I'm not saying that's bad. That still holds good. The specialist is one who has hit the bull's eye. But now let's talk about another group of people known as generalists. Since last 20 years, the data has said that the specialists, if they have made a change of say 10% or 15%, the generalist who has got idea of X and Y and Z and A and B and C, different subjects, or inside the different subject, different streams or substreams, and they can somehow, like the concept of RRIS, they can converge different ideas at the same place. They are coming out as the winners in spite of having superficial knowledge about lot of things. If they have the lateral thinking ability to connect all this knowledge together, like you remember I was showing the picture, vertical thinking is going deep, but lateral thinking is what I have already over here, transporting it parallelly to somewhere else where that knowledge is not there. Hence, the need in that new place is not to be cutting edge. That's not required at all. What we require is knowledge about certain things to make a meaning of the new problem that we have elsewhere. Because now, every 2-3 years, specialties are changing. So the specialists always need to upgrade themselves, and even after upgrading themselves, the scope of success is 10 to 15%, but generalists who have open minds, 80 to 85%, as I said. And I love this example, giving this example. I hope you have encountered with this. This is the gaming boy from 20th century. This guy named Gunpei Yokoi from Japan, he didn't score a great mark in his electronics subjects. So all his friends moved to Tokyo for their jobs, but he had to get stuck at Kyoto, and over there he was working at a playing cards company, and over there he was working as a mechanical worker. He didn't have the cutting edge knowledge about his electronic subjects, but he had a basic idea about lot of different streams under electronics. He was working as a mechanical worker in the company, once again, playing card company. And over there, he came up with the idea of this video gaming console. Now, the speciality of this video gaming console, which ruled 20th century, Nintendo, was that it doesn't sustain on a cutting edge technology. No, nothing new. But the way he has combined lot of old knowledge in a way and packaged it in a way that made a new meaning. And hence, since Nintendo came, we call it lateral thinking using withered knowledge or withered technology. Something that has worn out, something that nobody will even care for, torn apart. but then you are making meaning out of something which is not even valid today. That is what lateral thinking all about. So let's look at the person's work who has contributed into this work called lateral thinking. That is Edward de Bono. Think more, think differently, think radically. Like Jaya ma'am started with by telling in the session that we are having these patterns which are pre-existing. Knowing patterns are very good, because without knowing, if we start breaking patterns, that leads to anarchy. I'm not talking about that. But first, let's know the patterns, then break those existing patterns. When a child does 2 plus 2 equal to 5, while we engage in the conversation, it's also important to let them know there is this existing answer, 2 plus 2, 4, equal to 4, for a certain reason. But there are also other ways. So know the pattern and then break the pattern. That is how we change the paradigms. Generate more ideas based on what we know. So that is how knowledge works, right? We go from concrete to abstract. We go from known to unknown. We go from light to darkness to light. That's how knowledge works.
Priyanka ji, I would just like to add here, as you have referred to the father of lateral thinking, Edward de Bono.
Yes.
At the same time, I would suggest all our viewers to read the 6 hats technique also.
I'll be coming to that.
Okay.
Yes.
So great, because both would work very well together.
Absolutely right, ma'am. I'll be coming to that, because that is one of the lateral thinking tools amongst quite a few that he has suggested. Thank you so much for that pointer. So yes, he is the father of lateral thinking, as you have said. It was a term that was coined in 1967. Before that, you might ask me, before that, lateral thinking didn't exist. Of course, it existed. Otherwise, people like Edward de Bono didn't, come into play. But there was no term like that which has been coined. So he is considered to be the father of this. Now let's talk about, we spoke a lot about technology. We spoke about what is happening around the world, not only in education, but everywhere, in corporations, all around the world. But when I talk about re-engineering education, not only schools, but education, what I mean is reinventing lateral thinking by making it part of the curriculum. And especially it is now more relevant because NEP has come into the picture. And this education policy talks not only about all the skills, not only about art integration, integrating storytelling and theater into the classrooms, and thereby breaking the patterns, but also it talks about cross-curricular intervention, project-based learning, through which lot of lateral thinking can actually be imparted on our future citizens. And just because thinking, we might be thinking, okay, तो अब से मैम क्या बोल रही है, अभी से क्या thinking का एक अलग से क्लास करें, मतलब Monday 12:30 to 1:30 हम लोग सोचेंगे, we will think. No, not really something like that. But in each of the classes, in the curriculum itself, thinking has to be a part of it. For example, you must have known, being educators, something called Bloom's taxonomy, right? Like how there are these 6 levels, and from the lower order thinking skills, we go to the higher order thinking skills, from lots to hots. But once again, it's a lot about lateral thinking, a lot about vertical thinking, because there are sequentiality in the process. Not bad, definitely needed, but what beyond that? So in your books, in your curriculum, you will see some questions which are lower order thinking skills like rote learning, some are application based, and then in some books you will also find higher order thinking skills. But what beyond that, how lateral thinking can be actually included as part of the curriculum? So lot of discussion and brainstorming sessions needs to be included when I'm talking about LT to be included in the curriculum. And we might be thinking, okay, I cannot teach it because I haven't learned it, but the world is changing and hence we need to adapt it. And thinking cannot be learned from the teaching of information, because knowledge is not the same as thinking. um, Knowledge doesn't, knowledge is not the same as wisdom, as we say. So there are practical ways to teach thinking directly, particularly lateral thinking. Teach using fundamental tools like the attention directing tools. Lot of that has been given by father of lateral thinking himself, and there are other tools as well. I will be speaking about a few. And don't worry about being right, or always worried about making mistakes. Be it yours, be it the person in front of you, whether the students are making mistakes. Because हम लोग ऐसा सोच ही सकते हैं कि गैरेज से गाड़ी नहीं निकालेंगे तो एक्सीडेंट नहीं होगा. But while that is true, गैरेज से गाड़ी नहीं निकालेंगे तो गाड़ी चला भी नहीं पाएंगे, right? So we need to go out in the open and try. And yes, teachers can teach thinking. I am sure, being educators, you have come across this. I know due to our present curriculum, present approach, we would award a 0 to this person, to this child, because there is no Pythagoras theorem that has been applied while finding x. But imagine the creativity that this child has shown. What exactly we do once we encounter something like this in the classroom. Like Jaya ma'am said, do we open a discussion? Is there a dialogue that is happening? Ke class mein aisa hua, what others are thinking? Is there a brainstorming session that happens after discovering something like this in the classroom? Because
Priyanka ji,
yes,
this reminds me of a joke I think I have heard or read somewhere. This X, the math teacher keeps asking about finding the X, and a child says, "Sir, it's long time. Please get over your X and stop asking us your X for you." So there can be some fun. We have one of our Aadharshila speakers attending this session, Miss Nagma Sheikh, who took the Aadharshila talk on bringing humor in the classroom. So I think if you have that kind of camaraderie and that rapport, that child can speak to you and you can still enjoy that joke. This is not directly relating to today's topic, but I still just wanted to make this assertion here that there is a lot of possibility of having humor as well in the class when you start thinking in a lateral thinking way.
Absolutely right, ma'am. And there can be a lot of riddle tales as well. And it doesn't really, so we will think, okay, so stories are for young children, so maybe pre-primary, primary. But there was a survey that told that teenagers like class 9, 10, 11, 12, they enjoy stories the most, because stories can be a source of motivational speaking for them. It can be a source of bringing laughter, like Nagma ma'am has been working on, bringing humor in the classroom, which releases a lot of stress these teenagers are going through. So we should actually, yes, Meeta ma'am, you want to share something? Okay.
Yes, I just recently had a wonderful humorous experience in my class in grade 10. So we were doing a bio concept of adaptation and evolution. So I was just trying to connect it with this pandemic, that how the teachers have immediately adapted to the change in the situation, and they took on to online class immediately, and that is how we teachers have also evolved, and we all evolved wonderfully well, that we could conduct the classes so well online. So my 10th grade child, he wrote in the chat box, though it was completely in a humorous way, that ma'am, adaptation and evolution of teachers have led to our death. And that was, in a very humorous way. And we all were laughing in the class.
Yes, absolutely, Smita ma'am.
Students' extinction. Is he talking about extinction and endangered species?
Yes.
That was good.
That's good. And Smita ma'am, thanks for sharing that. And also I can see in the chat box, Paramjit Sharma ma'am has mentioned, the thirsty crow is still thirsty. Yes, it has been thirsty like since thousands of years, perhaps.
It will go on, ma'am. It will go on.
Now, let's talk about sustainable development goals. When I teach SDGs, one of those goals are this, the goal number 12, SDG number 12, reduce, reuse, recycle. Now, thirsty crow, how can we change it we are talking about lateral thinking, right? So how can we change it to cater to SDG number 12? The crow keeps on dropping the pebbles, but then the water doesn't come up because the water level has gone down so much that to come up to that level, it will take, ages, and perhaps the entire thing will get filled up, nothing will happen, right? So we can keep changing the stories. Are the same stories are nothing but skeletons. How we are putting the flesh, the muscle, the fat, the skin on this skeleton, on this bone structure, depends on us as educators. And that's what also opens the mind of our future generation. So let me share something with you. I will also share a little riddle tale with you. But you might be thinking, so क्या करें, कौन सा subject पढ़ाने से we can include include lateral thinking? It doesn't matter what subject you are teaching. You can always apply a lateral thinking matrix to teach thinking. Encourage creativity and exploration at your classroom. That's the only key, even at the expense of correct answers. I repeat it, it's very important. Even at the expense of correct answers. 2 plus 2 equal to 4 is the correct answer. The child said 5. At the expense of the correct answer, can we encourage the creativity? But also we need to have the discussion around the correct answer at another point of time, because otherwise bacha jab board exam mein jayega, and if 2 plus 2 is written as 5, the child will score 0. So there needs to be two thought streams that needs to go on parallelly, one that of vertical thinking, one that of creative thinking, because both should be married in the classroom. And
I agree with you, ma'am, totally. And in the past, we have also have had talks plus a lot of discussions on how structure is also needed for creativity. So structure, some basic pattern is needed. It's like a skeleton. And then you try your creativity over it. So I think this is what you also mean to say, that there has to be a structure.
Absolutely right, ma'am, because creativity, while it is gift for some people, active creativity can be practiced through lateral thinking. And we might be, to break a pattern, we first need to know the pattern. Otherwise, it leads to anarchy, as I was mentioning. An answer might be incorrect for critical thinking purposes, but still might be valuable for lateral thinking purposes. The teacher needs to make a decision about what should be discussed when, but there should be a balance in the classroom. So I'll give you an example, a little one. I love this riddle tale. So this goes like this. I love this visual as well. Maybe, yeah. So long time ago, there used to be a king and queen who were not having any wards, any offspring. After a lot of praying and all, finally they were blessed with 2 baby boys, twin brothers. And they grew up to be beautiful, handsome princes, just like this, good bicep, tricep, very handsome looking. And all the subjects in the kingdom used to think that maybe Ram will be or maybe Tom will be the prince, the to be king. And some will say, no, Harry will be the one to be king. So there is all the discussion that is going on. And finally, the day came, the day of coronation came. But who do you think actually got coronated? Who is the to be king? So it depends on one, Tom is 20. But during coronation, what they saw is Harry is 22. So who do you think who got coronated?
But you said they were twins.
Twins, that's what.
They were twins.
How would they have the different years, age?
Yes. Think. So we are right now vertically thinking. Right?
There will be difference of time.
Difference of time. Okay, we are moving into Matrix, the movie, right? Time and space and fourth dimension. Dishant wants to share something.
Though they were twins, maybe somebody both out of those two, one was born later, right? So maybe he's the elder, so he was crowned as a king.
Ma'am, there might be three brothers or three twins.
Three
There might be
brothers.
competition happen between them, and one maybe won and the other maybe got the opportunity. Person who got the victory, which is high chances, as we've seen in Bahubali,
Okay.
which is all possible.
Yes.
The victory can be given like this way also.
Yes, Amol sir, I love your thought. And Dishant, sadly, in this particular story, there were not three, but maybe there was in another story. Who knows?
So Priyanka ma'am, just to clarify to to some of the participants, maybe once again, ma'am first said that there were twins, two boys, and at the time of coronation, it was found that one of them was 22 years and the other was 20 years old. So
I stand corrected. I didn't say one of them was 22 years. That's the fixed mindset. That's conditioning. So that is what leads us to vertical mindset. And what just now happened right now over here?
So what did you say? I've just forgotten exactly what you said.
I said one was 20, another was 22.
So they are not twins. Simple.
So maybe you're not talking about the age.
Or
Maybe I'm not talking about the age. Exactly.
Yeah, because she said
maybe there was a third child.
Raini Panthri, ma'am, has given the right answer.
Oh, 20 T-double-O.
T-double-O, yes. So there are multiple riddle tales, in every classroom we can include this. But more than that riddle, what is important is what just happened right now. I wanted this to be demonstrated because the right answer at the end, like Gregory sir has explained, that maybe the fifth one was lying, the fifth one was blind. That is, of course, when everybody claps, everybody is happy, but that's the end goal. But in lateral thinking, what we are more concerned about is the process, that the brainstorming that happened right now, because we could see creative juices flowing from everybody. And once again, at the end, there might be an answer. But when Dishant said something, did I say your answer is not wrong? No, that might be in another story. There might be three. Yes, Balu Bahuliye, sir. Okay, so let's move forward, for the sake of time. Once again, in the brainstorming and the lateral thinking session.
Ma'am, may I share something?
Yes, sure, ma'am.
Ma'am, last week there was a CBSE this thing. So storytelling as a pedagogy. Okay, so everyone from our school had to do that. So I took up this story only, The Thirsty Crow. So there actually we had to make a lesson plan where I put on some questions on the part of the, say, what might the students ask. So there we had to actually integrate it with, say, any other two subjects. So I integrated, say, language with maths and science. So how does the water level rise up? So I say on my part, I could have made the children think that it might be something related to science, say physics, say Archimedes principle, and about the sizes of the stones. I I wrote a question for them that what were the sizes of the pebbles. So just to think a bit, as you were telling, lateral thinking. So which all these days the children might not have thought in this way.
Absolutely right, ma'am. Thank you so much, Mala ma'am, for sharing that. Yes, when we are using storytelling as pedagogical tool, we include all these questions and we do cross-curricular references, especially which has become more important after NEP. But also during, so if you look at those, they're also part of the vertical thinking process. cross-curricular might be there, but once again, there's a sequence, there is a structure.
Yes, ma'am.
But moment I'm talking about lateral thinking, it is beyond any structure. So how we can, instead of going top down, how we can have Balu Bahule sir, can you please mute yourself?
Balu sir, Balu sir, if you can hear us, please keep yourself on mute. Balu sir, thank you.
Thank you, sir. So during Mala ma'am, thank you so much for this example, because I could explain this better now. Because in this example, we are following vertical thinking.
Yes,
There
ma'am.
might be higher order thinking skill, there might be cross-cultural references, but there is also a structure given because this is a top-down approach. From the teacher, it's going to the student. It is a teacher-centric approach. But when I'm talking about lateral thinking, it's beyond any structure. And most of all, it is a student-centric approach. It comes as a bottom-up approach. Whatever comes, in that, it is there in that Aadhar, in the container, as we have in the classroom. We pick it up from there, and based on one simple idea, how we can blow it up and how we can make it big is all about lateral thinking. So once again, so you can go back to the slides because of time. I'm not going into the difference between how a brainstorming session can be little more structured and made into a lateral thinking session, where there will be clearer steps of focusing. Focusing means the problem is pretty defined, but there will be many solutions. Then we are creating it, we are harvesting idea, and then strengthening those ideas with proper facts. Okay, so going to 6 thinking hats, as ma'am was saying, this is once again, done by something that has been contributed by Mr. Demono. In a particular problem, the particular problem can be seen from different perspectives, wearing different hats. As we say sometimes, always don't play devil's advocate. Always don't pick out something that is negative in whatever you see. But actually, the black hat is also important when we are talking about having success for a project. So it means wearing different hats for the same problem. When I'm wearing a black hat, I'll be only during the lateral thinking session or the brainstorming session, I'll be only thinking about the negatives of this problem or of this implementation. When I'm talking about, I'm wearing the green hat or the creative hat, I'll talk about different solutions towards this problem. Red hat, I'll talk about basic emotions, the gut feeling that I'm having regarding different solutions that is being implemented. So for solution A, my gut feeling says, this looks okay, but there is something problematic in this thing. My feeling is not right. White hat, I'll be only talking about facts, no emotions. So it is basically compartmentalizing a person. And you remember I spoke about the specialization and the generalization. So when we are wearing different hats, we are specializing in one particular stream. But as a whole, we have the generalized knowledge in our classroom, in our container, because we have 6 types of thinking in the classroom for the same problem. And as I don't remember the person's name, he said either in 21st century we have to be a Superman or we have to be a Fantastic Four. What does it mean? Being Superman means we should have superpowers to have different kinds of characteristics to analyze the same kind of problem. Or else, if I am a normal human being, I'm not having that creativity, then different types of people, Fantastic Four, different types of people should be put in one team so that they can come up with the best of solutions. 2 teachers or 2 educators, 2 lawyers put in the same team, or maybe 2 teachers who have, who specialize in applied science or maybe applied social science, might be not that good. Okay, so that's why we are talking about cross-cultural culmination or having wearing different kind of hats, wearing different kind of specialities in the classroom. Once again, this speaks about the same thing. This is another thing that I do in the classroom. Suppose there are different problems given. Problems like climbing a tree, bees flying everywhere, being thirsty, suddenly seeing a snake, path closed, find another path. So these are visual. Children get interested about that. Even you might be thinking these look like very childish, but actually this can be very good pointers for even middle school, high school children when we are actually doing the icebreaker for any of the lateral thinking sessions, or even for the design thinking sessions. Because in lateral thinking, we generally don't have the prototype or the tasting phase, but in design thinking, we will have those later steps as well. So these can be very good icebreakers even for the higher class students. And then I give certain kinds of solutions like this. So over here, for example, like they can pick up only 2 objects or 3 objects over here. And then how they can club them to find a solution to the problem that is given. Yeah. So I would like to demonstrate one of the project that I did during this pandemic. So this was done, I think last April or May. Because of pandemic, during the lockdown, we were seeing that cooking has become a new gender neutral survival skill. Men were also cooking, men were also found in the kitchen. This new balance will have to reflect, and also the women, they were spending almost, divided time in kitchen as well as sitting in front of their computers. And also those who are homemakers, they're also not having maids. So the time spent at the kitchen is little different. Our chemistry with the kitchen has changed. So I asked the students that how this new balance can be reflected for groceries or for appliances that are there in the market. This newly debuted audience in the kitchen, combined with work from home culture, will of course call for innovations in this category, and of course will require lateral thinking. So this was a project-based learning. Different phases of the students went through the same project. They came up with different kinds of solutions. I would like to show you a few. For example, over here, this is a child of 6 years. And she has come up with something called a smart kitchen, where you can see this, the doll is there, the little cooking set is there. Now carefully look between the laptop and the stove, where the orange pot is on. Can you see a flask over there? A thermo flask, right? So that thermo flask she has put over there because she knew, she has learned from her parents that if you put something hot in the thermoflask, it stays hot. If you put something cold in the thermoflask, it stays cold. So her mother, when she is cooking as well as she is working on the laptop might actually get water leakage or can be heated up. So how that can be prevented? By putting something that is made of that thermoflask material, so that the heat from the stove cannot really propagate to the side where the laptop is kept in the kitchen. And that way, multitasking is possible. Can you imagine this coming from a 6-year-old? Many of us might be thinking, oh, this might have been held by the parent. But believe me, other than the handwriting over here, nothing else, and clicking the picture, nothing else have been done by the parent. So if the lateral thinking mindset can be developed in children, this is possible. This is another one where the child has written, there is something called like this. If we are snapping our finger, there's some kind of vibration and some kind of sound energy that comes out. And there will be this signals that are installed in the kitchen, which will capture this particular vibration as well as the sound. And depending on the kind of snapping we are doing, either the spices will be, turned around and chuck, 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 chuck. They will be put inside the container, or maybe the flame will be seamed depending on the pattern of the snapping. So suppose I am sitting in the bedroom in front of my laptop, whereas my thing is being cooked in the kitchen. I will do snap, snap in a particular pattern, say 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And it means that put the thing in seam and maybe put a little bit of salt and put a little bit of sugar. So the kitchen would be automatized in a way. I know you might be thinking, this is fantasy. But actually, when Galileo came up with an idea, everybody in that generation thought he's insane, he's mad. So no ideas are bad, and that instead of students, that we educators and we parents should understand first that no ideas are impossible and no ideas are wrong.
The smart kitchen idea, ma'am. Priyanka ma'am, this is smart kitchen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like if we fix Alexa, then that will perform all the tasks instead of us.
Yes. Yeah, but even in Alexa, till now, they can control the calling bell, they can control the light.
Yeah.
But till now, this particular pattern, I think this is like 2050, 2060. This pattern of spice control that is going to come. It's going to take a long time, but nothing is impossible.
Nothing impossible, right, ma'am?
So over here, thank you, ma'am. And over here, we are talking about laptop fire safety device and baby feeder, because the baby needs to be fed, but the mother is busy. You can see the date of the project. This is 3rd of May 2020, when children were really going haywire because their mothers were parallelly working, not able to give time. So I was working with the students on this, and some of them were having baby sisters or baby brothers. So once a child came up with this idea of a baby feeder, you remember that Charlie Chaplin, there was some modern times, Charlie Chaplin was sitting in the chair, and then automatically food was, being fed, and the machine started malfunctioning. I just remembered that particular picture when the child actually has come up with this project. But once again, no ideas are wrong. This is a project that the children did on, because once again, if you remember the locust attack that was happening in 2020 around, this time, May, June, this time, April, May, June. So they have come up with this, for the project, they have prepared a list. This is gauze. If you see, the material is gauze, bandage. And then they have done a project through which they can actually protect the crops. And once again, if you are actually doing design thinking, which is another next step ahead of critical thinking, where you will be prototyping this, you will be doing feasibility study, understanding the kind of cost that requires, whether it is applicable for the kind of temperature, for the type of crops, all of that. But that comes later, and then you taste it, right? That comes later. But in lateral thinking, whatever ideas are coming, we are welcoming them with open heart and with open hands, with open minds. So that was my little presentation. This is time for review. We spoke about how we can re-engineer education through reinventing lateral thinking. We, till now, not all the schools, but many of the schools, even in 21st century, we traditionally focus on critical thinking. Some focus on, maybe open book test, or maybe vertical thinking, the higher order thinking skills. But still, most of it are around critical thinking and less around creative thinking. And that vision that was served by this policy is slipping away. Schools need to adopt. NEP is coming. Then there will be NFC. So all of that thinking and lateral thinking in particular can be taught. It's not a myth. Yes, it can be taught by any teacher to any student using specific techniques. And I would like to end with this slide, because this is a myth, thinking outside the box. Because right now, there is no box. The sky is our limit. And if we believe that, we can really do wonders. So that was my presentation. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, you can ask, and my coordinates are given there. In case you have a query later, you can also reach out to me, and you can give a little feedback.